Hello, thank you for joining us on Court TV News at 4. I am Frank Omalpeh, and here are some of the reports we're filing at this time. Today, Nigerians mark the 22nd anniversary of 12 June 1993 presidential elections. The result was a presumed victory for Moshood Kashimawo Lawale Abiola of the Social Democratic Party, who defeated Bashir Tofa of the National Republican Convention. However, the elections were later annulled by military ruler Ibrahim Babangida, leading to a crisis that ended with Sani Abacha heading a coup later in the year. Lagos State Governor Kiwumi Ambode says non-abdication of duties by political office holders is the only key to the hope of the annulled June 12 presidential elections, judged to have been won by the late business mogul Mko Abiola. Abiola Oluwole reports that human rights lawyer Femi Falana and other speakers at the 22nd anniversary of the annual election held that the 1993 election remains a watershed in the history of Nigeria. His report is presented from our studios. We'll bring you that report in a subsequent bulletin. President Muhammadu Buhari wants Nigerians to remain in charge of the multinational joint task force until the end of the war against insurgency. Buhari made the appeal at an extraordinary meeting of the heads of state and government of the Lake Chad Basin Commission held at the presidential wing of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja. Our correspondent Paya Samia has details.
The heads of government meeting is the climax of days of interaction by defense chiefs from the member countries. President Buhari was on hand to personally receive his counterparts at the presidential wing of the Nnamdi Azikiwe Airport, Abuja. Present in Abuja were the presidents of Chad, Benin and Niger, while Cameroon's Paul Biya was represented by his defense minister, Edgar Ngo. In his opening remarks at the extraordinary meeting, President Buhari appreciated member countries of the Commission for identifying with Nigeria in its bid to tackle insurgency, especially in the northeast. He thereafter proceeded to appeal with the leaders to allow Nigeria retain the position of the first commander of the MNJTF throughout the period of the war against insurgency.
I am, however, of the opinion that military operations that are subjected to a rapid turnover of command and control structures, 6 months duration, as it is being proposed in the document before us, do not augur well for effectiveness and efficiency. Such a process will undermine, even if it is not intended, the military capacity to sustain the push against the insurgents, who also have the uncanny ability to adapt and rejig their operational strategies.
To ensure the fight against insurgents is sustained among member states, Buhari promised to redeem the pledge of $100 million made by the Jonathan administration for the smooth takeoff of the MNJTF.
Permit me at this juncture to recall that Nigeria has already pledged the sum of $100 million United States dollars for the smooth takeoff of the MNJTF. I hereby assure you that my government will keep pace with this promise. Notwithstanding this pledge by my government, funding still remains a major issue of this campaign. I had raised this issue at my meeting with the G7 leaders. While I am encouraged by their support, I also urge you to garner the support of your international friends and partners to sustain this campaign.
Earlier, the Executive Secretary of the Lake Chad Basin Commission, Sanusi Abdullahi, had noted that the key challenge is to raise funds to sustain the fight against insurgency. But he is confident that member states will rally round to ensure that funding will not hinder military operations.
The key challenge now is the funding, is to find funds to finance and sustain the ongoing war on terror to the finish, and at the same time implement necessary infrastructure for sustainable socio-economic.
Buhari had earlier in his inaugural address on 29 May 2015 affirmed his willingness to end insurgency. Paris Samuel, Core TV News, Abuja.
Meanwhile, President Buhari on Thursday said he had directed the nation's service chiefs to introduce or produce a list of the logistics needed by the military to successfully execute the war against the Boko Haram sect. Buhari disclosed this while speaking with journalists at the end of the extraordinary summit of head of state and government of Lake Chad Basin Commission and Benin at the presidential wing of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja. He said the leaders of the G7 requested for the list during his recent meeting with them in Germany. He added that based on the request, he had informed his colleagues in the commission to also prepare their country's list for the same purpose. The Chief of Army Staff, Kenneth Minima, on Thursday paid an operational and morale-boosting visit to troops on the front line fighting against Boko Haram terrorists in Borno and Adamawa State. During the visit, he addressed and encouraged the troops of 7 Division Strike Group and 121 Special Force Battalion that comprise the Armed Forces and Nigerian Army Special Forces located in Polka, 26 Task Force Brigade in Goza, 28 Task Force Brigade, and 174 Battalion in Mobi. A statement by the Acting Director of Army Public Relations, Sani Usman, said in Polka, the Commander 7 Umar Abubakar and the commanding officer of the 121 Special Force Battalion, Murtala Abdusalam, briefed the Chief of Army Staff on their respective commands. He said Minima commended them for their performances and thereafter addressed the troops, thanking and commending them for their courage and bravery, which turned the tide against the Boko Haram terrorists. Despite riding on the support of People's Democratic Party lawmakers to become president of the 8th Nigerian Senate, Bukola Saraki says he will return to his former party in the aftermath of the All Progressive Congress' unfavorable disposition to his new office. He also described the President Muhammadu Buhari's reaction to Tuesday's election of National Assembly leaders as a great mark of leadership and a demonstration of his commitment to democracy. In a statement issued by his media office on Wednesday, Saraki commended Buhari for remaining steadfast in his commitment to the principle of non-interference in National Assembly politics, even in the face of great pressure on him to act otherwise. He stated his commitment to the All Progressive Congress, saying he remains a loyal and leading member of the party who is committed to contributing his quota to building the party and helping it deliver its promise of change to Nigerian people. And now the national leader of All Progressive Congress, Bola Tinubu, says he cannot recognize the emergence of Bukola Saraki as Senate President. Tinubu, who was speaking at the party's national headquarters, said the emergence of Bukola Saraki as Senate President is a kangaroo arrangement. The APC leader asked newsmen how he should recognize Saraki as Senate President after he had denied his own party and put personal interest above the national interest. He added that recognizing Saraki as Senate President will amount to endorsing impunity and will be against all he has worked for. He added that the former Kwara governor must show remorse for his action of putting personal interest ahead of group interest. He added that though he is not God, but he cannot endorse what is not good for the APC. And our Senate President Bukola Saraki has eulogized the continued bilateral relations between Nigeria and the United Kingdom. He also assured the UK authorities of the determination of the Buhari administration to fulfill its obligations to citizenry. The Senate President, who said this while playing host to British High Commissioner Andrew Puckon in his office, also commended him for reinvigorating the mutual understanding between the two countries. He stressed that Nigeria will always look forward to Britain in areas of infrastructural development and social security. Earlier, the British High Commissioner had congratulated the Senate President on the success of his election, adding that the United Kingdom will always work harmoniously with Nigeria government in ensuring good governance at all levels. And away from there now, we'll take a break quickly on Court TV News Hour. We'll be back with more stories. Join us again.
As news breaks, people don't let events pass without giving their comment or reactions.
When the problem arises in society, these are the people that should be consulted.
To cleanse the corruption in society, we are not to provide information for good life and also security of life and property in this country.
The academic society have the loudest voice on this platform.
Whether you call it a sovereign national conference or a national conference, it is about the people of Nigeria.
There should be a change in power.
In any way they can do it.
I think there's a script already.
Every Tuesday at 8:45 p.m. on this station. From the Ivory Tower, a must-watch for the learning minds.
All our top stories can be found on our social media platforms, like our Facebook page is facebook.com/4TV News. You can also follow at 4TV News NG. For live streaming, log on to youtube.com/4TV, leave your space, then news. The Port Harcourt Refining Company Limited will start refining crude oil and will contribute to petroleum product availability by the end of this month, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation has said. It also assures that on or before the end of this week, the scarcity of petroleum motor spirit, otherwise known as petrol, will cease across the country. The Group Managing Director, NNPC, Joseph Dawa, disclosed this in Abuja on Thursday after inspecting some petrol stations in the city. NNPC has 14 refineries, 2 in Port Harcourt and 1 each in Kaduna and Warri. The refineries have a combined installed capacity of 445,000 barrels per day. And now the Federal High Court in Abuja has fixed July 22nd for judgment in a suit of alleged age falsification leveled against the recently inaugurated governor of Cross River State, Benedict Anyade. The suit instituted by a People's Democratic Party governorship aspirant in the state, Joagi, who is also a senior advocate of Nigeria, sought an order removing Anyade as governor on the basis of the age falsification allegation. The first and second defendant are the PDP and the Independent National Electoral Commission. Anyade is the third defendant in the suit. Justice Abdulkadri Abdulfarakati fixed the case for judgment on Wednesday. The plaintiff, who was runner-up to Anyade in the governorship primary organized by the PDP held across River State on December 8, 2014, alleged that Anyade had an oath in different affidavits giving conflicting dates as his year of birth. The Independent National Electoral Commission has scheduled a 3-day post-election review meeting for electoral officers, administrative secretaries and resident electoral commissioners. INEC said in a statement that the 3-day retreat will start with a meeting with electoral officers on Monday, June 15, scheduled to hold at NAF Conference Hall, Kado District in Abuja. That administrative secretaries and resident electoral commissioners will hold on Wednesday 17 and Thursday 18 respectively at the Meridian Hotel, Uyo in Akwa Ibom State. Also, the commission is to validate the 2015 election report. And now experts have called on the federal government to sustain the gains of the 2015 elections by retaining the appointment of the Independent National Electoral Commission's core staff. They also urged the President Muhammadu Buhari administration to ensure that the next leadership was based on proven competence and integrity, just as the current INEC chairman Tahiri Jega is expected to finish his term in June. This was contained in a communique issued on Thursday after a 2-day stakeholders review meeting on media and the 2015 elections organized by Democratic Governance for Development Project of the United Nations Development Program and the European Union. During the 2-day workshop, the resident electoral commissioner in Lagos State, Akin Revi, stated that the INEC will improve on its electoral process ahead of the 2019 polls, especially in the areas of production and distribution of PVCs. And now, despite the arrest of 3 suspected masterminds of the kidnappings that raped Ekiti State recently, the case of abduction is again back on the front burner with Reverend Father Emmanuel Akingbade, the latest victim. Akingbade, the parish priest of St. Benedict Catholic Church in Ido-Ekiti, Ido's local government area of the state, was kidnapped in his residence, but the police say efforts are launched to rescue him. Correspondent Rashid has more.
This is a protest from the people of Ido-Ekiti to show that the huge sigh of relief let out by the Ekiti state residents over the arrest of kidnapped masterminds was, to say the least, premature. This is the same place where it all began with Margaret Aladenika, but this time it's Emmanuel Akingbade, a Catholic priest. He was kidnapped right in his bedroom, according to this eyewitness.
They put a shotgun on my head that I should shut up. I should not shout and I should not say anything. If I say anything, if I shout, they bomb me down. They used that gun to lead me to the father's room. They took father's laptop, handset, everything. After they finished that operation, they told the father that he should stand up and wear any clothes that is like. That is, father is follow them outside now.
With the parishioners now thrown into mourning, the monarch of Ido-Ekiti and the State Catholic Convention are lamenting the renewed upsurge in cases of kidnapping, even as they await communication from the kidnappers.
This is not the first time. About a month ago, these people struck here, and nobody did anything to help anybody.
Those who abducted him, they've not made any contact with us, so the police are waiting. They've taken the statement of those they met at the mission house.
The Ekiti State Police Command confirms the incident, but also added that efforts are on to rescue him from his abductors.
Catholic father was kidnapped at Ido. We're making frantic efforts to make sure we get him back safe and sound.
The Ekiti State government has, however, placed a bounty of 2 million naira on the kidnappers, while also directing the police to commence a statewide stop and search operation immediately. But the police also asked the state government to put laws in place to stop kidnappers.
I'm sure it's because they find out that no such law exists here. That's why they're thinking they can have a field day. But if we have such laws on ground, it will deter a lot of them.
While the government places a bounty on the kidnappers and the police commence the serious business of finding them and rescuing their victims, the anxiety level in the state will meanwhile remain unread. Rashid, Core TV News, Ido-Ekiti.
The governor of Plateau State, Simon Lalong, has sacked all political appointees of the administration of former Governor Jonah Jang, according to a statement signed by the secretary to the state government, Rufus Bature. All chief executive, chairman, and members of commissions, boards, and parastatals whose appointments are political in nature, except tenured statutory boards, have been sacked. According to the statement by the Director of Press and Public Affairs, Samuel Nali, Lalong directed all the affected appointees to hand over all affairs of their agencies, including government properties in their possessions, immediately to the most senior officer in the establishment. He thanked all the affected appointees for their contributions while in service and wished them success in their future endeavors. Meanwhile, the Plateau State House of Assembly has elected Peter Tang-Azi of the All Progressive Congress as a speaker at a rescheduled election following earlier forced start. The emergence of Azi followed the stepping down of Ifisanus in Wasat of the People's Democratic Party. With the decision on Wasat to step down, the House then endorsed Azi as Speaker of the 8th Assembly. The report.
Peter Atangazi emerged Speaker after his opponent from the People's Democratic Party for the position is Stefanos Wansat step down. PDP's Abubakar Babayo Gagdi also emerged as the Deputy Speaker. This was after he had defeated Amos Konto, also of the PDP. Gagdi polled 13 votes while Konto mustered 10. Azi and his deputy were thereafter sworn in by the clerk of the House, Ayuba Gongo.
You solemnly affirm that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
Federal Republic of Nigeria, that as the Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, I will discharge my duties to the best of my ability, faithfully, and in accordance with the Constitution of the
oath of office as the Deputy Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly. I, Honorable Yusuf Al-Mungani, do solemnly swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that as Deputy Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, I will discharge my duties to the best of my ability, faithfully and in accordance with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the law.
The Speaker later inaugurated the remaining 23 other members of the Assembly to effectively kickstart the 8th Assembly's legislative tenure. Speaking to newsmen after adjournment of proceedings, once is said to step down for democracy in action and in the overall interest of the state. He said his action is to allow for a smooth running of government in Plateau State.
That was democracy in action. Yeah, no, democracy in action is when you told the path of smooth movement. I think that's the best. This is a new government coming in place, and we feel that we owe it a responsibility to start on a very smooth and clean note by agreeing with ourselves. We are going to be working as a house for the next 4 years, so the starting point is also very important. It will lead us into the future. So I think what I did was in the best interest of the house, the system, and of course the government.
The House has seized adjourned proceedings to reconvene at a yet-to-be-announced date.
The Rivers State Governorship Petition Tribunal sitting in Abuja has declined a request by the All Progressive Congress to inspect sensitive materials used by the Independent National Electoral Commission for the election in the state. The Akoko Peter side will contest it under the APC's platform in the April 11 election as challenging the victory of Governor Nyesom Wike on the grounds of irregularities and massive rigging. The petitioner had, through his counsel Olumide Olujime, asked the court to allow him to invite forensic experts to inspect the ballot papers, incident forms, computers, and other materials used by the INEC for the election. But a three-man panel led by Justice Mozo Pindiga struck out the application on the use of forensic experts to inspect the election materials.
Was just a motion taken ex parte. That is a motion that can be taken in the absence of the other side. We took that motion today. It is for the inspection of documents and other materials which INEC used in the conduct of the election in Rivers State for the gubernatorial elections. The court granted us 3 legs of our prayer for the inspection of the documents. But it is the part where the experts of the petitioner would have to test the card readers, the computers, and other electronic devices used for the election. That is the one which the tribunal struck out.
The people of Idato North Local Government, home of the Governor Rochas Okrocha, says his victory in the just concluded 2015 general elections and his subsequent swearing-in as governor for a second term means a lot to them. They say the governor will be celebrated by them having brought honor to his people by his performance so far. Our correspondent, Ajipade officer, who attended a press briefing by the Idato Nation in Owerri, filing this report.
Speaking on behalf of the coalition of Idiato Nation, which is an organization to ensure the development and well-being of the people of Idiato, Emmanuel Ezeonyewu, chairman of the coalition of Idiato Nation, says the governor deserves any honor given him by his people.
That in the history of this state, Rochas Anayo Chukwu Okorocha is the best governor this state of the zone, to Kigwe zone, to Owerri zone. In terms of infrastructure, in the history of this nation, you can count how many states that have free education. This is the flagship of this administration. In the areas of infrastructure, this state have built more roads than any other government that have built road this state.
For John Paul Uchemba, Rochas Okorocha deserves to be celebrated for his track records.
Never expected. Maybe he was still about 2-3 years ago. But there is different than one we are doing now. I want to let him know that Idato is solidly behind him. We are behind him. We are behind him. We still behind him. Whenever, whatever, at any time.
They all call on the people of Imo State to join them in celebrating the governor at the Holy Trinity Catholic Parish, Oboko, Idiato South. Ajibade Awofeso, Core TV News, Owerri.
You're still watching Court TV News at 4 live from our Lagos studios. We'll take another break now. Be back with other stories outside Nigeria. Stay with us.
Afghan have naked, that's a sign of protest, saying that things are not good.
Women share the most amazing thoughts.
When it's close to the time, our people will protest naked.
On national issues. That was on their own point.
That was an accident. That is different.
And to do it.
Politics is about being a servant.
Passionately.
Without a woman, there will be no success at all.
Sharing the adorable word of women.
There are some women who have what it takes.
In politics.
Margaret Thatcher, Iron Lady. When she's too soft, she's too soft.
Only on Core TV News.
And outside Nigeria now, China's security chief Zhou Yong has been jailed for life, the most senior politicians to face corruption charges under communist rule. He was found guilty of bribery and abuse of power and intentionally disclosing national secrets, China's official Xinhua News Agency reports. Until his retirement in 2012, Mr. Zhou was one of China's most powerful men. It was put under investigation 1 year later as part of President Xi Jinping's major anti-corruption campaign. Landslide and flood have hit 6 villages and killed at least 15 people in eastern Nepal, officials say. This comes weeks after much of Nepal was devastated by 2 earthquakes that left more than 8,000 people dead. Torrential rainfall in the Tamjenlung region caused the Mewa and Tama rivers to burst their banks, triggering the landslides. Landslides are common during Nepal's monsoon season, which begins this month and lasts until September. Officials and rescue workers say that the death toll could still rise. At least 15 people in the villages of Libang, Litem and Koting remain unaccounted for. Nepal's Department of Hydrology and Meteorology told the BBC that it had recorded 130 millimeter rainfall in the area in the last 24 hours. Meteorology Subhash Rima said they will officially declare the monsoon's arrival in Nepal within the next 2 days. Our town legend has suffered little damage compared to the rest of the country from the April and May's earthquakes. And that's it on Core TV News at 4 minutes. Thanks for watching. I am Frank Omalpeh. Bye for now.